What's your name, sir?
My name is Pasha.
Okay, and may I know where you're from?
I'm from Indonesia.
Okay, the first question is, have you ever learned a foreign language before?
Yeah, and actually my first foreign language is English. I learned English because I want to study to overseas.
And which language would you love to learn and why?
I think it's just English because I think English is international language, and if I know English and I learn English, like I can communicate with other people in the world because that is international language, right?
And do you enjoy learning about other cultures?
Honestly, no, because I don't really interesting to learn about other culture, and I don't really know about that.
Okay. And what cultural activity or tradition fascinates you the most?
I think I'm interesting Thailand food because honestly Thailand food is quite disgusting for me, but it's very unique because I saw a lot of people eat insect, and it's like doesn't make sense for me like how they can eat insect.
Okay.
But that's a very unique.
Yep, I get your point. Have you ever connected with someone from another country online?
Yeah, of course. Like 1 year ago, I played PUBG with my friends. He's from Europe. I forget which country, but he's from in Europe. And even though we never meet, but we often play games PUBG together.
Okay. What difficulties have you faced when learning a new language?
That's a very interesting question because learn other language for me is really difficult. It's not like learn mathematics or other subject because when you learn foreign language, you cannot just read the theory or just understand the theory. You have to like learn by doing. So you have to doing that every day so you can learn.
Okay.
Not just read the theory.
Okay, I got your point. Would you use an application like HelloTalk, WhatsApp, Instagram, and other stuff to make language exchange?
So do you mean are we interesting or not?
Yep.
For
Like-
me,
Will you use it?
oh
or
yeah,
not?
I think this is will be very fun for me because I can talk with other people in other country, right? That's very fun because I can learn about their culture, or many others. I can why I said I not really interesting about other culture because I don't like to read.
Okay.
So if you have the apps, I can talk with the real person in which from that country, so I can talk.
Okay.
So I don't need to read about the culture. I can talk like now.
Okay, face to face.
Yeah, face to face. So it's more interesting for me.
Okay. What features would you want in a language and cultural exchange app?
Maybe like game features because I like playing games. Like I said before, 1 year ago I played PUBG with my friends, and because that games, I can find Michael from Europe.
Okay, thanks, man. How many times a week would you ideally use this app?
I think maybe just 2 or 3 times when I have a free time.
Okay. And for the last question, do you think this kind of app can help reduce cultural misunderstanding?
Absolutely yes. Like I said before, you can face to face with other people from other country. You can talk about a lot of things, about culture, about what food they have, what culture they have, and everything. So you can understand about their other country.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your answers.
Yes.
First, can I ask your name?
My name is Sushi.
And where you from? And what's your major?
I am studying music language.
So the first question is, have you ever learned a foreign language before?
Yes, I have practiced.
Okay, so which language did you want to learn and why? What's the reason?
That I would like to learn a new one or
Yeah, or like the language you learned already.
okay. So I learned German because I really like the language and I like the culture of the country. But also I would like to learn some more Chinese.
Yeah.
Also I think China is very so much.
Yeah, and there are a lot of Chinese here.
Yeah.
Okay, so the third one is, do you enjoy learning about other cultures?
Yes, I do.
What culture, activity, or tradition fascinates you the most?
It's hard to choose one. but for me, the most interesting is the food of other cultures. I like to try food.
Oh, okay. So, which like country's food you love the most? Like
I
so far.
really like Arabic cuisine.
Oh yeah, me too. Okay, then have you ever connected with someone from another country online?
Yes.
Which may I ask like which app do you use before? Like
To connect with
yeah, to connect with others.
Usually Instagram.
Oh, Instagram. Oh, the next one is what difficulties have you faced when learning a new language?
I think the grammar is
Grammar.
very difficult. If you don't know your own grammar as well or your own language, it's very hard to learn.
Yeah. So which language was the most difficult one for you? Like so far, like the one you learned already?
I think definitely German is very
German,
hard. Yeah.
Okay, next. Would you use an app to meet language exchange partners from other countries?
Yeah,
What features would you want in a language and culture exchange app?
I think texting is really important.
Okay. And how many times a week would you ideally use this app?
Perhaps like 3 times a week.
3 times a week. Then the last question is, do you think this kind of app can help reduce cultural misunderstandings?
Yeah, definitely. Because if you speak to people from the country, then you actually get the authentic response.
Did you have like any misunderstandings like to like Germany or like Chinese like before you learn it? And is it solved after you started learning?
Yeah, when you meet the people from the country, then your misunderstanding gets deleted because you see at the
Yeah. Okay. I think that's all.
Thank you.
So may I ask your name first? My name is Rehan. And where from? I'm from Kenya. Kenya. Okay. So what's your major? My major is International Hospitality Management. Okay, so the first question is, have you ever learned a foreign language before?
Yeah, I've learned through Spanish and English.
Okay, so which language would you love to learn and why?
I would either, if I had the choice, I'd choose between Malay or Chinese so I can interact with people in Malaysia better.
Okay. So the third one is, do you enjoy learning about other cultures?
Yes, I enjoy learning about other cultures.
Okay. Why? What's the reason of like enjoying learning other cultures?
I think one, when you come to a foreign country, it's a way to integrate yourself with the people, and two, it just makes communication a lot better.
Okay, the fourth one is, what culture activities or tradition fascinates you?
Tradition, I would be inconvenient and say dancing. Dancing is a big part of culture, and trying new food.
Trying new food.
Yeah.
Next one is, have you ever connected with someone from another country online?
Yeah. I mostly use Instagram to connect with other people. Once in a while, when I get bored, maybe those online video apps like Omegle. Yeah.
Okay, what difficulties have you faced when learning a new language?
Difficulties, I'd say trying to stay consistent. Consistency is a big thing, which is why you have apps like Duolingo that give you streaks when you have your days. And I'd say trying to remember the words, because some words have similar meanings but are totally different pronunciations.
So you learned 2 languages so far, right?
Yeah.
Which one was the most toughest one?
Toughest one, I'd have to say French.
French.
French is more difficult.
What was the reason of like French became the toughest one for you?
I think because you have the masculine, feminine, and plural, and then there's a lot of they have a lot of vowels in what they speak, so it takes a bit of time to get used to.
Yep. What features would you want in the language and culture exchange app?
Well, if it's language, then of course you have to have a translation. There's no language app you can't have without translation. Also, maybe food, because one of my problems here was the food, and having an app that shows you what kind of food there is with the little mentions at the bottom, like the type of ingredients used, what flavor it is, would really help a lot. And I have to say maybe locations of malls, restaurants, all those kind of stuff. Yeah.
So how many times a week would you ideally use this app?
I think depending on the week, if it's a really busy week, then unlikely. But if I'm going out with friends, then I probably have to use it I'd say 3 to 4 times a week. Yeah.
So the last question is, do you think this kind of app can help reduce cultural misunderstandings?
Yeah, I think any app that can clarify things without you having to go and approach somebody just to minimize that friction, of course it's going to reduce chances of that.
Before you started learning the French and Spanish, did you have any misunderstanding like to that kind of like country?
Okay, I haven't been to France or Spain before. I learned these languages in high school and primary school. The hardest part about those languages is trying to differentiate, because as most languages like French and Spanish, your masculine ends with O and French ends with A. So that takes a bit of time to get used to, and then the adjectives, they're really hard. But otherwise, yeah.
Hi, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Shireen,
Where from?
Malaysia,
So what's your major?
International Business and Marketing.
So the first question is, have you ever learned a foreign language before?
Yeah, I have.
Which language have you learned?
I've learned French, I've learned Kazakh, Russian, Chinese, Malay. Yeah, I think that's about
So
it.
5 languages?
Yeah.
So which language would you love to learn and why?
I want to do Spanish.
Spanish. Okay. Is there any reason like?
It's very similar to French, so I feel like I could easily learn
Oh.
it and it'll just be.
So do you enjoy learning about other cultures?
Yes, I do.
What's the reason like that you like it?
I've moved around a lot, so like adapting and adjusting to different places, you kind of have to know the culture and stuff. So yeah, throughout that process, I've enjoyed doing that and stuff.
What cultural activity or tradition fascinates you the most?
I want to say Middle Eastern. Their weddings are very rich. They have a lot of culture in them. Yeah.
Okay, so next one, have you ever connected with someone from another country online?
I have. It was in middle school. We were required to do pen pals. Yeah, and so we would write to someone else. I think like I was in America or something.
So what difficulties have you faced when learning a new language?
A lot of the times, grammatical tenses and like past present, not for Malay but like French,
Yeah.
Kazakh, Russian, like yeah, those.
So would you use an app to meet language exchange partners from other countries?
Yes. Yeah.
So what features would you want in a language and culture exchange app?
I think like the texting feature obviously, but if it could like translate a message immediately, like after you send it or something, like an AI translates it or something, you know, so that you can text, but like it translates it for the other person, you know. Yeah.
So how many times a week would you ideally use this app?
Maybe a couple times a week, depending on yeah.
So the last question is, do you think this kind of app can help reduce cultural misunderstandings?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like if you're meeting somebody from a new culture, like not only are you learning the language, but you're learning more about their culture. And, yeah.
So have you, did you have any misunderstanding like before you studied language, like another language?
I don't think so. No, that I can recall. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, what's your name?
Maureen,
Where from?
Tanzania.
What's your major?
Computer science.
So the first question is, have you ever learned a foreign language before?
Yeah, I have French.
French, okay.
Yeah.
So which language would you love to learn and why?
Chinese, just because.
Just
I don't have a reason. Yeah.
Okay. So the next one.
Actually, no, Tagalog.
Tagalog.
Yeah.
Do you have any reason you want to learn?
It looks cool.
Okay. So, do you enjoy learning about other cultures?
Yeah, I do.
What cultural activity or tradition fascinates you the most?
The Polynesians.
Have you ever connected with someone from another country online? And which platform do you use? If you have you ever connected with someone from another country online?
Yes.
What did you use for connecting?
Omegle.
Omegle?
Yeah.
Any other apps like do you use?
Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what difficulties have you faced when learning a new language?
I don't understand it. Sometimes it's hard to memorize.
What difficulties have you faced when learning a new language?
Sometimes it's hard for me to understand because the languages are different from my native.
Okay, so would you use an app to meet language exchange partners from other countries?
Yes.
Okay, what features would you want in a language and culture exchange app?
Live calls.
Anything else? Do you want? Okay, so how many times a week would you ideally use this app?
4 to 3 times a week.
Okay. So the last question is, do you think this kind of app can help reduce cultural misunderstandings?
Yeah, I do.
Also, did you have like any misunderstanding like before you started learning French?
I don't think I did.
Hi, what's your name?
Lauren,
Where from?
America,
What's your major?
computer science.
So the first question is, have you ever learned a foreign language before?
Yeah.
Which language did you learn?
Malay and Chinese.
So, which language would you love to learn and why?
I think Arabic.
Arabic?
Yeah, because I'm half Middle Eastern. I think Arabic sounds cool. I also want to learn more the culture.
So, do you enjoy learning about other cultures?
Yeah, definitely.
So, next, what cultural activities or tradition fascinates you the most?
I like learning about funeral traditions.
Funeral.
Like some cultures they do like cremation and stuff. Other they do burials, and then I think it's just interesting to see the different ways that you part with them.
So, have you ever connected with someone from another country online?
Yeah,
Which app or platform did you use?
just like Instagram or WeChat, definitely for Chinese people, and Rednote.
Okay, so, what difficulties have you faced when learning a new language?
I think like especially for Chinese, it's just like learning the order of strokes and like memorizing the words and stuff. Because there's not a specific like language, like there's not a letter like alphabet, so you can't like read the words. You have to kind of just form them yourself and then figure out the meaning. You know, yeah.
So, would you use an app to meet language exchange partners from other countries?
Yeah, I think so. It'll be useful.
Then, what features would you want in a language and culture exchange app?
I think there needs to be like I think a texting feature would be good, and then there needs to be like a good and accurate like translation feature, so that even if you both like are speaking in like a broken like language, it'll still be able to like translate. I think for that, I think an AI needs to be used to try and like detect like what the person is actually trying to say, even if it's like broken. And then I think maybe calling would be good too, because practicing your like how you pronounce the words is also very important, like tones and stuff for like Chinese, or like learning to pronounce the alphabet in like different languages is also different. Like in Malay, A is pronounced differently than it would be read in English. So
So, how many times a week would you ideally use this app?
probably like 3 times.
3 times a week.
Yeah, a week.
So, the last question is, do you think this kind of app can help reduce cultural misunderstandings?
Cultural misunderstandings, definitely yes, because we were all raised differently, and I think like the way that we speak and like the tones that we speak in are different from other countries, so we'll be able to like communicate.
So, do you have any misunderstandings, like cultural misunderstandings, before you learn Malay and Mandarin?
Cultural misunderstandings, yeah, I think in English the way we speak is less direct than other languages. Like in Chinese, it's very like they're very forward. If they're telling you to move out of the way, they won't be like, excuse me, can you move out of the way? They'll just be like, walk.
Yeah.
Like they'll just tell you walk, and it's like very like it seems rude to us, but to them that's just how they speak.
Okay, yeah, I think that's it.